Lucy was vibrating with barely contained tension. Something was on her mind, and I had an inkling as to what. I hoped to hell I was right. It had been ridiculously hard to bide my time, but Tristan had made it imminently clear that I wasn't allowed to raise the topic unless she did. Otherwise, its actions could be taken as coercive. I saluted Tristan with my empty beer bottle, setting it on the kitchen side. "Night, Greg," Tristan said softly. It was the first time that Tristan had called me by my first name, instead of Manners. I clapped him on the shoulder as I walked past. "Good night." When I walked into our bedroom at Rosie's, I could hear the shower running. I dropped to the floor and did 20 press-ups. I heard the shower stop running, so I kicked my boots off, putting them neatly by the side of the bed. I lay down on the bed, fingers laced together behind my head. Lucy always liked it when I did that. She enjoyed my arms. Hence the press-ups. Lucy stepped out of the shower, blonde hair darkened by the water, with only a white fluffy towel wrapped around her. "Hi," she said. I was glad my hands were behind my head, or I'd be struggling with the urge to rip the towel off of her. Her skin was still beaded with droplets of water, and I found myself all too ready to lick them off of her. "Down, boy," Red said, amused. "She's nervous. Time for listening, not screwing." He was right. Her hands were splayed flat against the towel, and her eyes were a little wild. I forced myself to relax back into the bed, and I sent her a slow smile. "Peaches?" "Talking," she blurted. "We need to do some talking." "See?" Red said smugly. Yeah, I muttered back. I pushed the haze of desire down and met her eyes. "What do you need?" I asked, keeping my tone even and businesslike. "We need to talk about the mating thing." The words spilled out of her. I froze. "Finally," Red crowed. "Hush," I murmured. "Let me focus." In my head, Red settled down, but his tail didn't stop wagging. His anticipation and excitement rivaled my own. Lucy worried at her bottom lip. "I didn't realize that it was up to me to raise it with you. Stupid wolfy rules. So, the mating thing. The thing is, I need to pick a mate. I thought I needed to actually mate formally this full moon, but I don't. I just need to pick a mate. So, that's not so bad, is it? I guess it's like an engagement. But, there's this other thing that I wanted to discuss with you because we haven't, talked about it." The words poured out of her, and she barely paused for breath. "Babies," she blurted. "Esme wants babies, pups, and I realized I have no idea what you and Red—" "Yes," Red roared in my head. "Tell her yes." "We would love to have kids with you," I interrupted her. I slid off the bed and prowled towards her. The desire was back, roaring through me, thoughts of her body swelling with our child, filling my mind. The desire for that too surprised me to my core. I'd never thought I'd have kids. Never thought I'd want them. I'd always seen myself in a fun uncle role, but now I found that I wanted fatherhood. I wanted to raise our children together. I wanted to hold a baby in my arms and see a mix of me and Lucy, staring back. "You would?" she asked, shoulders sagging in relief. "We would," I confirmed, wrapping my arms around her. She was trembling slightly. "Lucy, how long have you been tying yourself up in knots over this?" I tried to keep my exasperation out of my voice, but I suspect I failed. "A while," she admitted. "I didn't know that I was supposed to ask if you'd be my mate, so I was kind of waiting for you to ask me, and then you didn't. I thought that maybe you didn't want to, and then I didn't want to bring it up and, trap you, Tension left me. "That's why you haven't asked me?" "Yep, I'd better do it, hadn't I? You can't really propose through inference." I smiled. Asking properly would be nice. Though I fully intended to do some asking of my own. I'd been planning to propose anyway, but now that I knew we both wanted children one day, I found myself wanting to see my ring on her finger. I needed the world to know we were bound together, she and I, an outward symbol of our inward devotion. "Great. Okay, I don't know how you guys do this stuff all the time." Lucy visibly swallowed, looking nervous. To my surprise, she slid to one knee in front of me and took my hand. She cleared her throat noisily and met my gaze, Greg, her voice cracked. When I met you, I fancied the pants off you, even though you wouldn't let me into the church to speak to the gargoyles. And then we both became werewolves, and I was so grateful I had an ally, I told myself to table that attraction. I was your boss, and you were forbidden to me. But, like all forbidden fruits, I couldn't resist a little taste. That kiss after we'd rescued Ares changed everything. The chemistry was off the charts, and I couldn't pretend we were just co-workers anymore. And then, you kept being there for me, not just with work, but with finding my birth family. You held me while I cried about the loss of my parents. Her eyes welled up. You've become as essential to me as breathing, she said, as a tear slid down her cheek. Something stabbed my heart to see her crying over me. I never wanted her to cry over me, albeit I was pretty sure these tears were mostly from happiness. Though this was supposed to be her gig, I couldn't help myself. I dropped to my knees next to her and pulled her onto my lap. God, Lucy, don't cry, I entreated, my own throat thickening as I suddenly found myself battling my own rising emotions. This is why girls don't do this, she half laughed, half cried. Greg Manners, will you do me the honour of becoming my mate? Yes, Peaches, I absolutely will. Yes, Red crowed, howling his happiness in my mind. The sound ricocheted and bounced around the inside of my skull. I'm glad you're happy. I gave him a full-body cuddle. Now, give us some privacy, please, Red. He nuzzled me back. Sure thing. Obediently, Red turned around in my mind and settled down to sleep. I refocused on the woman in my arms. I leaned down and kissed Lucy, the way she liked, invading her mouth and overwhelming her senses. She let out a low, throaty moan and fumbled with the towel, trying to remove it. I pulled away from her lips with difficulty. Allow me, I offered, my hand stilling hers. Her lips parted in silent assent, and I hastily removed the towel from her, revealing swaths of pale skin that I wanted to worship for hours. How did you do that? She asked, faintly perplexed. I'm feeling very motivated right now, I admitted with a grin. A faint frown stole across her face as she looked at me. Well, you're also very dressed. Remedy that. Now. A slow smile turned my lips upward. Yes, my queen, I murmured obediently. I stood, grasped the t-shirt by the collar, and ripped it off. I held the tattered remains of the shirt in my hands, and her eyes glazed as she stared at me. A show of physical strength always stirred her desire, second only to her love of spreadsheets. Today, I planned on using both, to maximal effect. I was going to make this a night she would never forget. Her pink tongue darted out and inadvertently licked her lips. Show off, she said, but despite her chastening words, her voice was husky with desire. I live but to serve, I teased lightly as I picked her up and threw her effortlessly onto the bed. Her breasts jiggled tantalizingly, and it took everything in me not to pounce on her then and there. But sex with Lucy was never just about the physical. She was a cerebral creature, and her mind needed to be turned on as much as her body. It was time to make her shut that noisy mind down. You remember my PowerPoint presentation on making you scream? I asked, my voice coming out gravelly with my own desire. Her eyes were wide as she nodded. We're going to do slide 3 and then move on to slide 4, I promised, tantalizingly. Her breathing accelerated, and I saw a little tremble run through her. Yes, please, she managed. I hooked my fingers into my combat trousers, and my muscles bunched and rippled as I ripped them off too. Unbeknownst to her, that was going to be the first of many pleases. Tonight she was going to beg until she was hoarse. I was going to make sure that it was a night to remember.